Okay. In today's class, we will discuss the enzyme specificity. How specific are the enzymes? Let us see. Enzymes are very specific in nature. They can recognize only specific substrates only. For example, let us see a few of the examples here. They are highly specific in nature. They can bind with only one substrate, not more than one substrate, one type of substrate only. So so that they can catalyze only one type of reaction. For example, oxidoreductases. Oxidoreductases can carry out only oxidoreductase reactions only, but not hydrolase reactions. Okay. Similarly, hydrolase enzyme, it can catalyze only hydrolase reaction only, but not oxidation or reduction. So they are very specific in nature. We can see here in the example in the below figure. See, this is the shape of the active site of the enzyme, and this can bind only with this substrate whose shape is like this. Okay, see here how they are binding. This is enzyme substrate complex. The enzymes are very specific. Let us take few more examples now. See, the specificity, enzyme can recognize the specificity of the substance in many ways, like it can recognize the bond specificity, group specificity, absolute specificity, optical or stereo specificity, dual specificity. Let us take each one. First, let us say bond specificity. There are few enzymes which can recognize only a particular bond only. If the substrate is having another type of bond, then it will not recognize and it will not catalyze this reaction. For example, amylase. Amylase in enzyme, it can hydrolyze this type of bond only. If the bond is alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond only, it will hydrolyze. If the bond is between suppose 1,2 or 1,3, it will not recognize that substrate, it will not bind with that substrate, and it will not catalyze that substrate. So enzymes are very specific in the bond in the in carrying out the chemical reactions. For example, amylase, it can hydrolyze alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond in starch, dextrin, and glycogen. You can see the below reaction here. See, this is the type of bond which can be cleaved only by this enzyme, amylase, or we can also say that amylase can hydrolyze only this type of bond. Next is group specificity. So, enzymes are also group specific. See here, pepsin is an example here. They can recognize only one type of structure. Okay. For example, pepsin is an endopeptidase enzyme. It hydrolyzes the peptide bond if the peptide bond is formed between the amino acids, between the aromatic amino acids. For example, see this is a polypeptide bond. Here, this is a peptide bond, NH double bond. So this pepsin, it will hydrolyze this bond. It will break this bond only if these R groups are there now. If R groups are aromatic in nature, means what? If these amino acids are aromatic in nature, that is the peptide bond form should be in between the two aromatic amino acids. Then only pepsin will recognize this substrate and it will carry out the chemical reaction by breaking the peptide bond into following polypeptide fragments. Next is the substrate specificity. Enzymes can act only on one type of substrates only. For example, if you take uricase is an enzyme. It will, for example, I'm giving only few examples, but each enzyme is a specific in this manner only. For example, uricase, it will act only on uric acid. It will not act on other acids. See the following reaction here. Uric acid, for example, maltase also, it will act only on maltose. See here, maltose, this can be hydrolyzed into monosaccharides, that is into glucose molecules by maltase. This maltase, it will not accept any other substrate. It can bind only with this substrate only, that is maltose. It cannot bind with the sucrose or any other substrate. So these are highly specific. And optical and stereo specificity. These are very highly specific. Even if the structure is same, and if there is a uh, and if the structure, even if the structure is same, like R amino R and like if the substrate is having two configurations R and S, the enzyme can recognize only one type of configuration only. It is that much high specific. For example, you can see here D amino acid oxidase. D amino acid oxidase, it is an enzyme. It can accept only, it can bind with only D amino acids, and it can carry out only the chemical reactions of this substrate only. It will not recognize L amino acid. Similarly, L amino acid oxidase, it acts only on L amino acid. It will not bind with the R amino acid, or it will not recognize R amino acid. So these are very highly specific. Specificity is also there. Very highly stereospecificity is there. Even if there is R and S configuration, every enzyme will have its own specificity. Either it can bind to R or it can bind to L. Dual specificity. There are two types of dual specificity. The enzyme, the first type is the enzyme may act on one substrate by two different reactions. For example, here isocitrate dehydrogenase. This is an enzyme. It will act on isocitrate by oxidation and followed by decarboxylation of this substrate. Okay, it will act on one substrate by two different reactions. This is the example here. Or dual specificity is also there in if the enzyme may act on two substrates by one reaction type. For example, xanthine, it is an oxidase enzyme. It acts on xanthine and hypoxanthine. See here, xanthine, it will act on xanthine and also hypoxanthine here. This is xanthine oxidase enzyme. It can act on hypoxanthine as well as on xanthine also. So it can act on, that is known as dual specificity. So this is a structure of an enzyme that I have already told you in the first class. That structure of an enzyme consists of helices, beta sheets, and it folds in such a way that the tertiary structure is stable and it will provide a hollow space. That is, hollow space is known as catalytic site or active site, and each enzyme will have its specific active site or specific amino acid in the active site. For example, this is an structure, three-dimensional structure of acetylcholinesterase enzyme, and this is the hollow sphere here, and these are the active site. You can see the ball and stick models of amino acids in the active site here. So so this is the closed picture of very close picture of active site. These are if you the ball and stick models are the amino acid residues present in the active site. This is the active site of acetylcholinesterase. This is how the active site will appear. This we have already seen. The acetylcholinesterase will carry out the chemical reaction of acetylcholine. It will break down this acetylcholine into acetic acid and choline. We have already seen this, how the serine and aspartic acid and histidine are involved in binding with the substrate, where serine binds covalently and histidine which will act as a acid and base catalyst. This is about enzymes. Then there is the second unit. This is the second unit. This is the first chapter. This is about enzymes. So if we summarize, enzymes are the three-dimensional structure of enzyme. They will provide a hollow sphere that is known as active site, and the active site will have specific amino acids. That specificity of amino acids will accept only specific type of substrates, and they can carry out the specific chemical reactions only. Enzymes are generally they are biocatalysts. They can catalyze the biochemical reactions by speeding up the reaction, by lowering the activation energy, and by providing an alternative pathway where the transition state is having a lowest energy. So this is the job of an enzyme. So we have seen the inhibition of enzymes also. In that inhibition, we have seen the different types of enzymes like reversible enzyme, irreversible enzyme, competitive, different types of inhibition of enzymes like reversible inhibition, irreversible inhibition, competitive inhibition, non-competitive inhibition, and uncompetitive inhibition. Then we have also discussed the enzyme specificity in terms of bond specificity, dual specificity, substrate specificity, and the group specificity. So all this is about enzymes. Now let us see the second topic in the same unit, that is receptors now. So receptors are also nothing but they are, one second, I'll share the screen. Receptors are also nothing but they are proteins only. They have the similar structure like enzymes. They are also very specific, but they do not carry out any chemical reaction on their surface. They are the chemical messengers. They transport the chemical signals or signals to the cell. So basically all the communication processes inside the body occurs through these receptors only. We can also say them these receptors as letter boxes inside the body. First, let me open my presentation first. Okay. So this is about receptors. Let us see. So these are chemical structures. They are required inside the body for the communication processes. Okay, they accept signals from different parts of the body, and they will uh, uh, transport these signals to the cells. So they are the carrier of the messengers inside the body. So like enzymes, they are also proteins. They are mostly, these receptors are found in the membrane, cell membranes. Basically, they are classified based on their location. So they basically, there are two types of receptors: transmembrane receptors and intracellular receptors. Transmembrane cellular receptors are include ligand-gated ion channels, G protein coupled receptors, and enzyme-linked hormone receptors. Basically, enzyme-linked hormone are tyrosine kinase receptors comes under this category. And then we have intracellular receptors also, which are found inside the cell. So in our body, mostly the receptors are transmembrane receptors. Okay. So what is the job of a receptor? They carry out all the communication processes inside the body. That is the job of a receptor. So whenever there is a disturbance in carrying out the chemical messenger, that reflects in the physiological activity of our body also. That responses we can see in terms of like inflammation or any other diseases. So it is basically required to maintain the perfect activity of these receptors. If the perfect activity of these receptors is not carried out, then we will take drugs from the outside. Drugs means medicines. These medicines will bind to these receptors. Whenever required, we will take the medicine. So medicine, these generally they go and bind with the receptor, and then they if it is required to enhance the activity of the receptor, the drug will enhance the activity. Or if the activity of the receptor is required to suppress, then we have to use such type of drugs which suppresses the activity of the receptor. Basically, it depends on the biological or biochemical reactions, biochemical processes that is occurring in the body. Basically, drug receptor theory means pharmacodynamics. What is drug doing to the body? That is the basic concept here. Okay. Now let us go into the details first. Structure and functional receptors. Function of receptors. Structure means just now I have told you these are globular proteins. They act as a letter boxes, or these are required for the communication processes inside the body, mostly located in the cell membranes. They receive messages from the chemical messengers coming from other cells, and they transmit message into the cell, leading to cellular activity without undergoing any change within themselves. Now, chemical messengers are generally, there are two types. They are neurotransmitters and hormones. Neurotransmitters are the chemicals released from the nerves, and which travel across a nerve synapse. Sorry for the disturbance. There is a fluctuation in my internet. Okay, we were discussing about the chemical messengers. So what is the job of the receptor? They will accept the signals from the chemical messengers and they will transmit it to the cell. Then a cellular action is carried out by the cell. The only job of the receptor is to transport the signal from the chemical messengers to the cell. Okay, they do not carry out any chemical reaction on their surface. Okay, just they'll accept the signals, they'll bind with the chemical messenger, accept the message, and they'll transport it to cell. And then when the chemical messenger leaves, again it will regain its again it is ready to accept another message from the chemical messengers. Okay, so chemical messengers are of two types: neurotransmitters and hormones. Neurotransmitters are the chemicals released from from the nerves, which travel across a nerve synapse to bind with the receptor on target cells. They are very short-lived. Okay, hormones, these are the chemicals released from the glands. They travel throughout the body to search the. So let us see what is the drug action receptor theory. As I said, drugs are required when you want to enhance the activity of the receptor, you will use the drug. When you want to suppress the activity of the receptor, you will use drug. It depends on which type of drug you have to use. It depends on the cell's activity. Okay, so drugs interact with the receptors in a reversible manner. If you see here, drug is also known as ligand here, ligand. Okay, remember this terminology. Drug can also be termed as a ligand or a small molecule which goes and binds with the receptors. So when the drug and goes and binds with the receptor, suppose the receptor is showing an unusual activity. So in order to suppress the receptor activity, we have to use drug. So what this drug does is here, this will bind to the binding site of the receptor, and it will block the chemical messenger or natural substrate from binding to this receptor. So in that way, it is inhibiting the activity of this receptor. So drugs, it binds, this is the binding site, this is binding site. Like enzymes, we have active site. Here on the receptors, we have a binding site. For receptor, we should use this terminology. Remember, not active site, we have to use binding site. In enzymes, we have used the terminology of active site, but here you have to use binding site. So each receptor will have a specific binding site, and each binding site will have a specific amino acids that can bind to the natural substrate, that is chemical messenger, or that can bind to the drug with all the binding interactions like ionic interactions, dipole interactions, van der Waals interactions. So the mechanism is similar, very similar to drug enzyme substrate complex. Here also the mechanism is similar, but only thing here in receptor concept is there is no chemical reaction occurring here. Whereas in enzymes are a biocatalyst which carry out the chemical reactions, but here there is no chemical reaction on the receptors binding site. Just they bind with the chemical messengers or drug, they'll accept the message and they will transport it to cell. That is the only job of the receptor. So if you see the drug action receptor theory, you can apply the law of mass action here. Drug will bind to the binding site of the receptor here. So once the drug binds drugs, or you can also say substrate or ligand, when binds to the binding site of the receptor, you will get a drug receptor complex here. So once the drug receptor complex is formed, it will transport this message to the cell, and that you will see the active effect on the cell function. So let us apply the law of mass action. to the drug receptor binding. Suppose see this equation here. Drug is binding to the receptor and you are getting drug receptor enzyme. So drug will bind to the receptor in a reversible manner. The forward reaction is known as uh, formation of drug receptor complex. So you can indicate that rate constant with K on. So K on means it indicates the rate constant for the formation of drug receptor complex. For the backward reaction, since the backward reaction is a dissociation of this drug receptor complex to drug and receptor, so we are indicating this with this rate constant, that is K off. So if we apply the law of mass action to this, and if we say this is the K is the dissociation constant, by applying the law of mass action, we can write this equation as Kd is equal to, first what we have to do, we have to write the reactants, product of concentration of the reactants, that is drug and receptor, and that concentration terms are has to be shown in the square brackets divided by concentration term of product, that is product is drug receptor complex, that drug receptor complex concentration is shown in the square bracket. If Kd is more, that is Kd means what, dissociation constant is more, then what does it indicate? The drug receptor complex is not stable. It will try to tend towards the backward reaction, towards this left side. If Kd is small, dissociation constant is small, then it indicates that it will tend to be on the right side, means drug receptor complex is very stable enough. So in this way, by using this theory, we can see whether drug receptor complex is stable or not. Now let us see what is the mechanism with which the drug or a drug or a natural substrate, that is a chemical messenger, binds with the receptors. So receptors, they contain a binding site. Like enzymes, they also contains a binding site, that is hollow space, that is recognized by the chemical messenger. Binding of messenger involves all the intermolecular interactions like van der Waals interactions, hydrogen bonding, and so on. So like enzymes, in enzymes we have seen the induced fit. Here also receptors, when it binds to the chemical messengers, there is an induced fit. The receptors will undergo a slight change in the binding site such that it will have a maximum interactions with the chemical messenger. That slight change in shape of the binding site of the receptor is known as domino effect. This domino effect is generally when indicates that the chemical messenger is binding to the receptor, and there is a signal transduction. Signal transduction means the transporting of signal from the chemical messenger to the receptor, from the receptor to the cell. Okay. When the chemical after the chemical messenger transports its signals, it leaves or departs the receptor's binding site without any change on the receptor's binding site, and again the receptor gets back to its shape. That we can show with the following diagram here. See here, this is the cell membrane. In this cell membrane, there is a receptor here. This is the receptor here, light blue color. You can see here, light blue color. And this is the binding site. Okay, this is the binding site. So see where the where the receptor is present. This is present in the cell membrane. Here there is a cell. So now this is a binding site. Okay, just observe my cursor here. This is a binding site. When messenger comes here, it will, the receptor will recognize this messenger. Now the messenger is binding with this receptor. See, there is an induced fit here. See the shape of the binding site of receptor here, and see the shape here. This receptor is inducing its binding site shape according to the messenger, so that it can have a maximum interactions with the messenger. Now the messenger is bound with the receptor. Receptor has received the signals from the messenger. Signals means nothing but message, and now it is transmitting that message to the cell. Once the message is transmitted to the cell, the messenger again it is leaving back. Okay, it is leaving back, it is departing from the receptor, and the receptor, see the shape of the binding site here, again it is getting back to its original shape. This is the mechanism. So the binding site, it has a hydrophobic hollow or cleft on the receptor, it equivalent to the active site of an enzyme. It accepts and binds with the chemical messenger. Binding site, like amino enzyme, it consists of amino acids. So there is no reaction. You have to remember this thing. There is no reaction or no catalysis is taking place at the binding site of the receptor. See here, it's again the same figure that shows the binding or transmittance of the signals from the chemical messenger to the receptor. If you see this diagram here, see there is an induced fit, how the shape of this binding site is changing here. See when the messenger is binding. So what are the binding forces with which the chemical messenger interacts with the receptor? It can be ionic, hydrogen bond, like we have seen in the enzymes. Here also the binding forces depends on the structure of the chemical messenger and depends on the amino acids that are present in the binding site of the receptor. So it can be ionic interactions, hydrogen bonding interaction, van der Waals interactions. Okay. See here, there is an example here. So suppose this is a substrate. See what are the residues here in the binding site of this receptor? Serine is there, aspartic acid is there, and phenylalanine is there. So since serine is there, since phenylalanine is there, since this is an aromatic part, hydrophobic part, it can interact with the messenger with van der Waals interactions. Now, since aspartic acid, if aspartic acid is present, since it is having CO2 minus charge is there, it can bind with ionic bond. And if serine is there in the binding site, since it is having OH, it can bind with hydrogen bonding interactions. Okay, just observe these interactions here. So interactions should be strong enough. Okay, in order to bind the messenger with the binding site of the receptor, they should be strong enough, but they should not be that much strong that after transporting the signal, it cannot leave. So it should be strong, but at the same time, it should be weak enough that after transmitting the signals, it can depart from the receptor's binding site. See here, see here, this is a shape of this receptor. This is a conical shape. See here, the conical shape is here. But when the messenger is coming and binding with this binding site amino acids, it is slightly undergoing a slight change. Induced fit it is undergoing, and you can see the shape here. It is turning into a curve here. Okay, parabolic curve like. And so that it can have the maximum interactions with the messenger. Messenger can sit well here. So this is the overall process. Again, it is the same diagram that is showing the induced fit. See here, messenger is binding with the binding site of the receptor. There is a signal transduction, and there is an induced fit here. After signal transduction, there is that messenger is leaving the binding site of the receptor. Without see the change shape of the receptor here, it is not undergoing any change here. So binding interactions, they must be strong enough to hold the messenger sufficiently long for signal transduction to take place. And remember these points. And this should be weak enough to allow the messenger to depart. Okay. The binding interaction should be strong so that it will bind with the receptor with good interactions, and it can transmit the signals. Okay. Signals transfer ayevaragu, it can hold the receptor, should hold the messenger. Again, after transmitting the signals, it should be weaker enough that the messenger should depart the receptor. So that implies a fine balance drug design. So this is the theory that is used in drug designing. Designing of molecules with stronger binding interaction results in drugs that blocks the binding site. So that acts as an antagonist. We'll see this terminology later in the next class. So there are various types of receptors, as I said, these intracellular and transmembrane receptors. The type 1, see the type 1, type 2, type 3. These three are transmembrane receptors, and the type 4 is intracellular receptors. Intracellular receptor means that is present inside the cell. The first three are present in the cell membrane. we should say each one of these. So first type is ligand gated ion channel. Second type is G protein coupled receptors. Third type is kinase linked and related receptors. The first type, ligand gated ion channel, it is a receptor. When it receives the signals, it will open up the ion channel so that the ions will move through the cell. So to maintain the overall ionic concentration in the cell, this ligand gated ion channel is very important. And the second type is G protein coupled receptors. These receptors, these activate the signal protein, that is G protein. The third type is kinase linked receptors. These are basically tyrosine kinase or enzyme linked receptors. These receptors, they are very specific because they act as a receptor as well as an enzyme. Okay, we will see in details in the next class. Next, last type is intracellular receptors. These are present inside the cell. Okay, I'll stop my class here. Okay, okay, girls, see you tomorrow. Okay. Okay, I'm ending my class here. If possible, I'll take tomorrow, or else on Saturday and Sunday I'll take. Okay, thank you all.